It's amazing how much you can actually store in a well-organised wardrobe. With a Connex Wardrobe system, you can put together different components to design something that fits your space. There are grab-and-go kits available, or you can completely customise a wardrobe to suit. They can be floor-standing or wall-hung. There's shelves, drawers, rails for clothes and more, as well as a range of colours to choose from. I'll show you how to do it, easy as. I'm going to be installing a wardrobe to fit a 2.6 metre space. I'll use 2 rails to fit this 2.6 metre space. Everything will hang off these rails, which will be fixed to the wall. A 400mm floor standing towel with 2 drawers and shelving. I'll add a 600mm end pack and clothes rails to hang long items. A 600mm wall hung towel with 3 drawers, shelving and baskets, a 600mm cavity with a shelf and rails to hang shirts, and finally another 600mm end pack that we'll have to cut down to 400mm due to the space we've got. The wardrobe you decide to build is likely to be a different design to the one I'll be building, so it's important that you keep your instructions handy. Firstly, all the components are attached to a suspension rail that'll be fixed to the wall. All the components will hang off this rail, even the floor standing units. Mark a level line at 1.984 metres along your wall. This will be the top edge of your suspension rail. If you've got an older house with an uneven floor, it might be a good idea to stick to the wall hanging units. That way everything will look nice and even. Use a stud finder to locate solid fixings and mark them off. Our suspension rail comes in 2 lengths, 1.2 and 2 metres long. So what I'm going to do is just offer this up to the wall, and I'm just going to put that up against our marks. And what I'm going to do, instead of keeping this full length, I'm going to cut this off right on the centre of our stud that I've already marked on the wall. That way I can get fixing in through one side of the stud, and then when I'm going to measure and cut my other piece, we've got solid fixing on both ends of our suspension rail. Mark off where your studs are on the rail and cut it to length. Drill holes in the rail using a 4mm drill bit. I'm using a 10mm drill bit so I can countersink the screws. Use a slow speed on your drill and be careful not to drill the whole way through. Place the top edge of the suspension rail on the line and fix the rail through the studs using 8-gauge screws. The rail needs to be fixed to as many studs as you can find, as our wardrobe is quite long, very heavy, and it will be filled with lots of clothes. We're going to start with a tower and build out from there. Check all the instructions in each pack and make sure you've got all the hardware. Start with the side panels. Fix the suspension bracket with 4 suspension bracket screws and set 3 Campbells and 1 plastic dial in the matching holes. Repeat on the other side panel. Fix the rail panel to the top panel with a 50mm screw. And we're just going to gently line those 2 up. Take in our screwdriver. Don't really need to use a battery drill for this, so screwdriver is the best friend here because you don't want to over tighten any of these screws. Okay, we've got these 4 little cams. They go in the hole. Now there is an arrow to indicate the right direction, which should be facing outward. So we push those in and just make sure that arrow is lined up nice and neat facing out. Insert 4 cams into the top panel. Join the top panel to one of the side panels. Secure by locking the cams with a screwdriver, turning them clockwise until they lock firmly in place. Insert 2 cams into the base panel. Join bottom panel to the side panel. Secure by locking cams. Place the toe hook panel in place. Join the other side panel the same way. Now, wee little tip. It is a lot easier to take your unit to the wall and hang it on the suspension rail without all your shelves and in your drawers in it, because obviously it's a lot lighter. You may need to either remove the skirting or use a jigsaw to cut out the shape. Or if you don't want to do that, the hanging towers are a great option. Make sure you've got the right distance from the wall. In my case, it's 600mm. I've decided to put some drawers into my wardrobe. There are a couple of options, slim and tall, and both are assembled in exactly the same way. You can place them wherever you like. I'm going to put mine under a shelf so it looks nice and tidy. Let's start with a tall drawer on the bottom. Slot the drawer back panel into the back of the drawer sides, making sure the pre-drilled holes are on the underside. It's really important we make sure we're nice and flush on the back. and that should reveal 3 pre-drilled holes, 1, 2, and 3. So we're just going to put in our screws provided. Just do exactly the same for the other side. So we're just going to attach the backboard to our unit. Once again, drop that in. Flip the drawer over and place the drawer clips in the corner of the drawer base with the pre-drilled pilot holes. Use 3 15mm screws per clip. It does actually indicate a left and a right on the plastic there. Now I'm just about to put the front panel on our drawer unit. Now this front panel does have a hole indicating that that is actually the bottom of it. So because I'm putting our bottom drawer in first, what I need to make sure I'm doing is with all these holes set up here, that our brackets, I'm going to put this bracket on first, that will sit over our holes, and we're 1 hole up. So I'll fix that on first and then deal with our second bracket. Now with our second bracket, this is pretty simple. All we got to do is make sure that there is a drill hole in between these 2 brackets. Now when it comes to doing your second or third drawer, it's exactly the same setup. The only difference is instead of having our bracket 1 hole up from the bottom, we're actually going to be placing it over the bottom hole. But the important thing to remember is there's always a hole in between the 2 of them. So with our bottom setup, we're 1 hole away from the bottom, and our second and third drawers up, we always have that sitting hard on the bottom with 1 hole in between the 2 of them. Clip the drawer front into the drawer sides until it clicks into place. Install the drawer runners on the lowest set of holes or whatever height you want to position them. Fix the runners with 2 10.5mm screws for each runner. Okay, now that our drawer runners are in, I'm just going to extend these out and drop our drawer into it. Insert the drawer onto the runners. Push the drawer closed until it locks into place and attach the plastic screw covers. Now I've decided to install my drawers without handles, so obviously to open them up I'm going to need a gap. Now within our pack of instructions we do have this handy little template here which indicates exactly how we set that up. And on the bottom of the template there you can see a red dotted line. That goes in line with the top of the drawer, and we just follow the instructions on the template, and I'm just going to mark on that blue line, the arrow next to it, because I'm installing a drawer without handles. That just puts a little mark there. Now if I wanted to install drawers with handles, I'm just doing exactly the same process. The only difference is I'm going to be marking on the green line off our template. So I'm going to take the template away. That pencil line correlates with that hole there, and then I just install our runners exactly the same as I did on the bottom. Okay, so now it's time to put on our shelf above the drawer. Now the great thing about these shelves also is if I want to adjust them up and down, I simply just pop that off and remove our little lugs here and move them up and down to suit. Now if I did want to put handles on the front of my drawers, here's how you do it. Now I've got my drawer front, obviously the bottom there is indicated by the hole, and now this is the back of the panel. When we're drilling through our panel to put the handles on, we always drill from the front. So that being the bottom, this is the top. All I've done is taken a piece of cardboard and I've marked the center of the cardboard, and all I've done is made a mark on my drawer front here, exactly the center of that. Now, on my piece of cardboard here, I've come down 80mm and also the width of the handle apart. So depending on what handles you choose, you work that out. So I'm just going to line this up nice and neatly with the top, and I'm just going to pre-drill a hole all the way through. Remove that. Okay, so I'm just going to put the screws in through the back. Now, if you just use that template for all your other drawers, all your handles will line up nicely. Okay, I'm just about to throw a shelf in. Now, to do that, it's pretty darn simple. We've got the old Hay Valley connector sleeve here, and we just pop that in the pre-drilled hole. Nice and simple. This pack comes with 2 shelves, but you can add more and choose the layout yourself. Take this over to our unit. Now each shelf has 4 Hayfilly connectors. They go in pretty simple. We put them in nice and straight, and then with the flat piece of the connector facing down, then we just gently lift that up and roll that back around. Now the great thing about the Hayfilly connectors, you can very easily adjust your shelves, no tools required. An end pack fits into any of the tower units. Basically, there's a rail to hang your clothes from, a top shelf for storage, and a side panel that you can use to attach extra shelves. Attach the suspension brackets to the end panel and side of the floor tower, just like before. Attach the clothes rail brackets to the end panel and side of the floor tower. Place end panel on the suspension rail. Okay, all that's looking lovely. Next thing is putting in our top shelf. Insert 4 connector sleeves into the top panel. Fit the top panel in place. Fit the clothes rail. Depending on your space, you can trim the top panel and clothes rail to fit. Repeat the 400mm tower assembly method for your 600mm wall hung tower. The only difference is this is wall hung, so there's a gap off the floor. Great place to put your jandals and your gumboots under there. Now I've got these steel wire baskets. You can put them wherever you like. What I've decided to do is put this basket on our last hole at the top here. That enables me to put a shelf directly above it. That way I can put stuff up in there. And then I'm going to have the other basket hard up to the underside of this one. That way I've got space to put stuff underneath it as well. To finish off, we need an end pack, which we'll install just like the first one. We've only got 400mm to play with, so we're going to need to trim our top shelf, mid shelf, and our rail to fit. I'm using tape so that my shelf doesn't split while I'm sawing. Just make sure that your pencil mark is still visible. Then a quick sand gives it a nice finish. Fix the top shelf to both end panels with connector brackets, 1 per side, using 15mm screws. I've just about finished. There's a couple of things I need to do. One of them is putting this connector bracket from our unit to the wall. That's going to secure this in place so we don't get any of this movement when we're opening the drawers. So from this point here, I know I've got a nog line running all the way along my wall so I can connect all my brackets back in exactly the same manner. Now, if you can't find solid fixing in the wall, I'd recommend you use a hollow wall anchor. And I'll just double check that it's nice and plumb. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Attach plastic screw covers. Now, in my situation, all my drawers are looking nice and straight, but if yours is slightly out, you do have a couple of options for adjustments in and out and left and right. So just play around with these till it's sitting absolutely perfect. You could also choose to make a shoe rack or include a range of baskets to help you organise your gear. As you can see, it's a pretty versatile system that'll let you design a wardrobe to suit. Now you've got no excuses for leaving your clothes on the floor. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mitre 10 YouTube channel for more handy content, or click here to watch more now.